All right, in this video, we're going to be stressing the importance of all the creative formats that are available to you. I think it's a huge misconception for most people where they think that they should only be running videos or only running static ads, or that static ads are for the bottom of the funnel and videos for building awareness, and right side hand placements don't do anything, and we should be all manual in our placements. There's a lot of different stuff in the market that's been out there for a really long time. Many of which is just completely outdated, and some of which doesn't hold truth for every single brand. So what I will break down here is a couple things. First, we're going to go through some of the old stuff that's really common that a lot of people still do that is fairly outdated. And then we're going to go through why so many of these placements are important. And throughout this video, I'm going to tell you specifically what placements are most important for certain kinds of brands. But you're going to notice just straight up, because this is not a video and throughout this entire program, I don't hold anything back. Like, everything is being spilled. So I'll be very upfront. Most of the time, we're running all placements. So if you're just starting to spend on Facebook, if you're spending, a couple $100 a day, just run all placements and don't look back. But if you're more of an advanced operator, I'm going to be speaking a lot to you in this case, where we are talking about all placements, everything that goes beyond. So as you're on your scaling journey, you have some more tools in the toolkit, because that's what this is literally all about. So first things first, let's just talk about what are all the placements. If you go to this URL right here, which is a Facebook business URL, it says all about the ad placements across the Meta technologies. You're going to notice there's a long list of a bunch of different placements, and some of those placements are mixed into one each other. So for example, there's all of the different feeds, Facebook video feeds versus regular feeds versus right column feed. There's all different feeds. There's Reels, searches, apps, and sites. The most, the place that we serve the most is the feed, stories, and Reels. Now, just to show us what does this actually look like. So for this part here, you'll notice that there's a ton of different placements. And when we're looking at our previews on our ads, you can see that it's again broken down into feeds, in streams, stories, Reels, right column. Now, a lot of these carry the same formats. The most common formats that you're going to see across Facebook are the square format, the 4x5, which is an alternate to the square depending on what phone is being viewed, the horizontal, so the landscape format, and then the full length story format, which most people these days think about as either stories or TikToks. Now, what we'll notice here is that if we start to remove certain parts of creative or certain placements, we're going to lose a lot of placements really quickly. So just to go through this, there's a variety of different versions in the Facebook feed. There's a variety of different Instagram feeds. There's the full length Instagram story, Facebook stories, Facebook video feeds, and the list kind of goes on and on. Now, what I want to stress more than anything here is actually the size of the video or the image that you upload. A lot of people are so caught up in the fact that they have their square image and they can just get away with that. 5 years ago, 8 years ago, you used to be able to get away with that because Reels were literally non-existent on Instagram. And if I just go to my Instagram right now and literally show you what my actual feed looks like, you're going to notice that right off the bat, yes, I do see straight up on my feed, right? I see normal things on my feed. And there's an ad from Marketer Hire right here. So I see normal things on my feed. But like everyone, we have the Reels. We have the Reels placement now, which is now showing tons of different Reels. These are full length. They're completely different. The key here is 5-6 years ago, Reels did not exist. TikTok was just starting out. No one even consumed these long form placements except for in stories, which represented sub 10% of total content viewed. Now, these placements represent over 50% across the platforms. So it has never been more important for you to upload both your full length video, your square, and your horizontal. Okay, that's the first part about this. Now, which placements are most important for which kinds of businesses? Almost across the board, universally, the feeds, whether it's Instagram feed and Facebook feed, the stories and the Reels are the most important. Almost across the board. Now, if you don't have video assets or you lack a certain kind of an asset, you just can't create something for some reason, then yes, there may be a path to excluding like Reels if you can't create video. Generally speaking though, you want to show up everywhere, and there's a science behind it. It's not just me spewing to the camera. The other piece of this is the horizontal and the side placements. So if you keep looking through our placements that are right column placements, this is just one example. It's actually a pretty poor example because I actually don't even have the horizontal placement. I'm just using the square placement. So a lot of times these right column, these apps and sites, these in message placements, they don't matter as much. I'm not too concerned about getting the horizontal crop. I care the most about, like I said before, the feed and the story format. Now there's a couple of placements that are actually very, very interesting to me that are for like some niche cases. So I mentioned like generally feed, stories, and Reels are the most important for most brands. But what about some weird stuff that goes on from kind of like here and there, some weird placements? So my favorite placement that I think is extremely underrated is the Facebook Marketplace. If you're not familiar with the Facebook Marketplace, it's basically a place where you can go buy and sell anything on. But what you'll notice is more and more within the Facebook Marketplace, there's ads everywhere. So if you search for something like basketball hoop in the Facebook Marketplace, you will also get served full price products from people selling real basketball hoops, not just third-party sellers. So you get this mix of like an eBay feel plus actual full-priced products. This is a really important placement for people that have hundreds and thousands of SKUs, or anyone who's watching this that actually runs a marketplace kind of a brand. So if you're a brand that, you know, is either maybe you're drop shipping tons and hundreds of thousands of different kinds of products, maybe you are a true marketplace. We worked with a gaming marketplace, for example. They did super well on the Facebook Marketplace. So it's a really good spot to place your ads. And I'll show an example here and more on the Facebook Marketplace. This is kind of a crappy example, but not only will they show up like so, but they'll also show up in the marketplace alongside the other SKUs that are really being listed organically. That's a very strong placement if you know anything about marketplaces. Okay, back to this here. Let me talk about the science of this a touch. So I'm gonna pull up my Miro board. Okay, so I wanna give everyone a really good example. For the people that think I work better on videos, therefore I'm only going to spend on videos, or my statics do better, I'm only going to spend on statics. This is why you should avoid that at all costs, especially when you're scaling. Every single placement, whether it is a square placement, a story placement, stick with me guys, or a horizontal placement, every single one of these placements is shown to different kinds of people at different times. In addition to these kinds of placements, maybe I should show you here instead so I don't have to draw. Stories are shown at different kinds of times than feeds. Feeds are shown at different than stories. Reels are shown at different times than etc. It goes on and on. The more important part of this though is that videos are shown at different times than images, and images are shown at different times than videos, such as carousels, etc., etc. Now, think about it like this. Your value as a customer, as someone who is absorbing advertising, is based on 100,000 different little mini touch points in the Facebook algorithm. And one of those touch points, or a few of those touch points, I should say, are where you are, what you're doing, and the expected time of your session. So for example, if I am home, I am in my home, and it is 9 p.m., which is an indication that I'm going to stay in my home at 9 p.m. because that's what I do, because Facebook tracks all of my life and my phone and everything because they have all the access to that data, versus if I am at Starbucks, we're just gonna put a money sign for Starbucks, at 9 a.m. instead of 9 p.m., which would indicate that I'm on the move. If I open my phone at 9 p.m., I might have a tendency here to be in a session on Instagram or Facebook or social media in general for maybe a full hour. But if I open my phone at 9 a.m. while I'm waiting online at Starbucks, not connected to Wi-Fi, where here we have Wi-Fi, I'm not connected to Wi-Fi. I'm using cellular data. I might be on the phone for literally 45 seconds. Okay. Now, if I'm on the phone for 45 seconds versus 1 hour, obviously, where do we think the more valuable touch point is? It's here. It's in 1 hour. How much more can be done in 1 hour? How many ads can we show someone in 1 hour? How sequential can we get in 1 hour? How much more likely am I to actually absorb content versus just trying to catch a little dopamine rush while I'm sitting on the line at Starbucks? Facebook knows, Meta in general knows this versus this. And therefore, we want to be able to catch someone, obviously more in this spot, but you also don't want to ignore this spot because your CPM or your cost per click, just a rough, how much does this person cost in each of these spots? This person costs absolutely nothing. This person costs pennies, 0.0001, whatever, where this person might cost $1 full. It could be a 100x more value or whatever compared to the other. Now, in this spot right here, let's use a third color. In the Starbucks example here, I might not be on Wi-Fi and I might only receive image ads because it's a quick session. On my Wi-Fi home, best, most expensive session, I might receive more video ads because I'm connected to Wi-Fi. I have better data. The ads could load quicker. Okay. So we always want to make sure we have both placements available, meaning you should have a combination of videos and images always so that you can show up at all places at all times. If you limit yourself too hard one way or the other, then suddenly you're going to only show up in Starbucks. And then on the other hand, you're only going to show up 9 p.m. Your CPCs are going to skyrocket. So you need to play the game of being available on all placements. This is one of those lessons that there's no documentation of. This is one of those lessons that comes from me doing this for just a long time and seeing it play out. So I hope that everyone that watched the full length of this really gets it, because this is a value bomb truly.